more to Open Series main events. He got a lot of his work on the IQ circuit, and we've seen him, he's made deep runs every single time. And he's looking to do that yet again here, and he could be in first place at the end of the standings, depending on how things do break here. So it's a good tournament for Eric thus far, win or lose this match.
And Eric Hawkins and Matthew Tickle, they're friends, and they travel together, and they're playing the IQs together. For a while, it looked like they were kind of coming up the leaderboard at about the same rate. They looked very close in the standings. In recent months, there has been some separation. Right now, Eric Hawkins would be in the Players' Championship, and Matthew Tickle would not. And Tickle has a lot of ground to make up at this point.
Yeah. It's not insurmountable, but it's going to be really tough. He's going to have to really string together some finishes to be able to do so. And again, Charlotte Sultai underneath the feature match camera. It's a very popular deck here this weekend. Really not a lot we can do about it. Players looking for kind of that mid-rangey / control legacy deck. Miracles is certainly an option. Charlotte Sultai looks to be the other one.
But it's not a baffling legacy deck. I mean, if you're familiar with Magic, the deck's definitely souped up. There's some powerful stuff going on, but it is, as far as legacy goes, about as nuts and bolts as you're going to get.
Schreiner going to take a mulligan very quickly. Did not like the opening 7 cards.
With the exception, of course, of Goblins. The true nuts and bolts deck.
The most honest deck in Magic.
The last great legacy deck.
It's very true. I briefly considered playing it at Grand Prix Seattle in a couple weeks, but I decided I wanted to win instead. So I'm gonna set it on the bench.
I think you should play Goblins.
I've given it serious consideration.
How do you feel about the Charlotte Sultai matchup?
Depends on what's in their sideboard.
Let's call it one Toxic Deluge, and other than that, nothing much of note. A couple disfigures.
I'd win pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah. If they have Engineered Plague or Knight of Souls Betrayal, I hate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Golgari Charm?
It's not that big a deal.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that
That's
big
what
a
I
deal.
would have guessed.
Yeah.
It's a card they bring in, and it's okay, but it's not spectacular.
It's annoying. Nothing more. Goblins hasn't beaten mass removal its entire life, man. It's just the enchantments that stick. Those are the not cool ones. Here we go. A Bayou is where Schreiner will start things. Underground Sea here for Hawkins. No cantrip. No discard spell yet for Eric, though it does have a Brainstorm in his hand. Wasteland.
Starting off the right way.
Yeah, you're already on Jeremy's side, aren't you? Here's a Brainstorm here for Eric. He'll draw 3 cards. Of course, have to put 2 back here in just a moment.
So, there's an incentive there for Schreiner to cast the Baleful Strix, hope to draw another 2-mana spell for the following turn, and then Wasteland.
Sure.
But when your opponent mulligans and they start off with just a non-basic, non-fetch land in play and say go, there's a reasonable chance that their hand just can't beat a Wasteland. So it's worth going forward, even though it isn't the most efficient way to play your Wasteland in theory.
I'm fine with trying to get him there. Got no problem with it at all. Hawkins has picked up a Past in Flames. There's an island, pass the turn back over to Schreiner. Misty Rainforest to draw. He's also got a Polluted Delta. That'll be the land that Jeremy does play. So he'll sacrifice that, go down to 19. He'll fetch land out of his deck here. I think we might see that Baleful Strix in just a moment. There's an Underground Sea. Now there's the Strix. It's drawing a card and passing it back over to Hawkins. There's a Brainstorm. 3 cards on the way.
You can see the issue that Charlotte Sultai has in this matchup. Not a lot in the way of pressure or disruption. And typically to have a good matchup against Storm, you need both.
Now Brainstorm's done resolving. Hawkins will pass the turn back. Tarma with the draw.
I think Schreiner here needs to cast Charlotte's agent on the hunt for a Thoughtseize or a Hindatorek. Maybe he doesn't know exactly what Hawkins is playing, but this kind of opening is rare for a non-storm, non-reanimator deck. And I think if he just puts some more threats on the table, there's a reasonable chance he doesn't get to untap.
There's Deathright. Here's Tarmogoyf. Here come the beatdowns. It's really all Schreiner can do. Just get some stuff out there. Hawkins going to sacrifice Misty. Fall down a little bit lower. There's an Underground Sea. Could be go time.
Yeah, the question is if he's willing to do it in the dark. He hasn't played a discard spell. He hasn't played Cataxian Probe. He has no idea if Force of Will is in Shriner's hand.
Tarmogoyf checking in at a 2-3. Just instant land. Hawkins got all the mana in the world.
Yeah, it does not look like that's going to be an issue here.
Yeah. Dark Ritual on the end step. Now Cabal Ritual. Now another Cabal Ritual. Ad nauseum.
This is a pretty crafty line of play. Hawkins could really only get to the 5 mana. That makes it very dangerous to try to go off on your own turn. But he can simply do this end of turn, untap, and then go to work.
Yep. Dark Ritual. Lotus Petal. Tendrils might slow him down.
And Schreiner didn't force a will the ad nauseum. I think Hawkins knows he's in the clear. So he's going to keep going until he has the kill locked up. I don't think he needs to play for a 98%er. He can go for the full thing.
He's down to 7 right now. It's got a lot of life to work with. And it looks like he's going to keep going. Kind of like this decision. 6 from the probe. And he'll stop now. Keep in mind, too, probe is basically 3 damage because she's probably going to pay the alternate casting cost. I think he may have just drawn a Lotus Petal for the turn. Now he's got all these cards to work with because all that took place on Schreiner's end step. Probe now, the alternate casting cost. See the grip. See it's clear as day. 2 Charlotte's agents.
Hawkins was probably almost certain there was nothing to go on going on in that hand that mattered, but might as well.
Lotus Petal is spell 2 and 3. Oh, Tarmogoyf's a 3/4 now. That's good.
Ooh, nice, it's growing. Creatures versus spells.
Yep.
Classic battle.
And he's going to get his mana symbols out there, too. Dark Ritual. Spell 4. 3 black mana floating. We could see an Infernal Tutor here. The thing here, if you're Hawkins, you've got this game sewn up so you just have to make sure you don't make a mistake.
Yep.
Infernal Tutor, spell 5. Gonna reveal Cabal Ritual.
I mean, I believe Hawkins has Past in Flames in hand.
He does.
So he's going to be able to more than easily win the game this turn.
Spell 6. Spell 7. Reveal. I think he's fresh out. But that's okay. And now Tendrils. And I'll take care of it. Eric Hawkins going to win game number 1 here over Jeremy Schreiner. Storm up a game over Charlotte Soltai. I think Jeremy knows that game 1 of this matchup, it's not good.
He drew a hand of creatures that are slow, cast them, and then died.
Yeah.
That's going to be how game 1 goes a good percentage of the time.
It's not good. You see the options here for both players. However, things will change as Jeremy's going to reach for the sideboard. He's got 2 disfigures. An Isle Spellbomb, a Grafdigger's Cage, and Null Rod, a Thoughtseize, a Pith Needle, a Force of Will, a Vendilion Click, an Ocean Thief, 2 copies of Golgari Charm, 2 Meddling Mages, and a Scrubland.
Good set of options here. Meddling Mages, Notion Thief, Vendilion Click, Force of Will, Thoughtseize, Null Rod, Grafdigger's Cage, and Nile Spellbomb. I think all make the cut pretty easily, and Jeremy's got a lot of dead weight or close to dead weight to trim out of the deck.
Other side of things here for Hawkins, 3 Abrupt Decays, 2 Disfigures, 2 Empty the Warrens, 2 Xantid Swarms, a Tropical Island to help cast those green cards, 2 Dreaded Knights, a Chain of Vapor, a Rebuild, and a Flusterstorm.
Can't go to the Xantid Swarms here, although it's dangerous if Schreiner is overloading on discard spells rather than counters. I think the 2 copies of Empty the Warrens is also fine here if he's worried about discard. You can go off for, 5 or 6 and be able to win the game with Empty the Warrens.
So those are the options available there to both players. And as I do get ready here for game number 2, Jeremy Schreiner will be on the play. We're going to talk about SCG Game Night, the very popular promotion that's been a huge success. Thanks to you guys at home for playing in it. We talk about October, not a lot of time left to get the Hippo, though we've got some new stuff rolling out here for November and December.
Every month we send out a new kit with pins and foils that stores can give away at their game nights, however they see fit. They can run the tournament as sanctioned or unsanctioned, just get the players in the store for some fun and friendly Magic on a regular basis. This is the October kit running out of time. The November kit coming down the pipeline, the Otter. And if you want to get signed up for game night, get our December kit, the Reindeer. Head over to starcitygames.com/game night for more information. Contact your Star City Games in-store play representative. And for you Canadian players out there, we are now only charging domestic shipping rates for the kit. So if your store has not brought game night to its store before, in part because of the cost of mailing the kit out, tell them it's got a lot cheaper.
Game number 2 about to begin here between Jeremy Schreiner and Eric Hawkins. Eric Hawkins, as we've mentioned a couple times, a player who's starting to make a name for himself here on the Open Series. Number 10 right now on our Season 4 leaderboard. And I think, well, it's tough to say now, given how close the race is. If you asked me 2 months ago if we'd seen him at the Players' Championship, my answer would have been yes. Now it's not so sure because the race is very tight. He's got 1 Open Series top 8, working his way towards a second one here this weekend. Makes his living by playing Magic and poker, and he's a big-time sports fanatic, and apparently he's a Storm fanatic too, because he's looked impressive with this deck so far.
Yeah, that lineup played the end of turn, ad nauseum, untap, and then use the mana from my lands and my land drop to be able to win the game. Not a line of play you see very often, usually because you're trying to kill in 1 turn. Hawkins knew there was a very good risk that if he went for that kill on his own turn, he would just be short on mana. He would have to draw very well off the ad nauseum. So not a conventional line to play, but Hawkins saw it and has been very impressive thus far with Storm. This is the first time I've watched him play Legacy. He looks very solid with it.
Yeah, comfortable is the word I would use with that Storm deck. And not many people really do feel comfortable playing that deck. It's a deck that is very powerful. The people who are good at playing it are oftentimes very good. I think of Caleb Scherer and Brian Cook. But those players are few and far between. It's a daunting deck. You make a mistake with that thing, you lose.
You don't have a lot of margin for error, and risk assessment's so important.
Yeah.
You just have to know, when do I have to go for it? When can I afford to wait a turn? Doing the calculations with your ad nauseums, it's all very challenging.
Hawkins going to take a mulligan here. So we'll see if he can find 6 cards he likes. Schreiner is going to keep his opening hand. It's just a tough matchup for Charlotte Soltai, I think, in general, though things do get better after sideboard.
Meddling Mage and another copy of Force of Will, Vendilion Click, and some disruption to either the graveyard or to the mana. It's a good mixture of sideboard cards, but the deck does dig itself into a pretty big hole with how little game it has in game 1.
Oh, boy. Eric apologizing to Patrick for pile shuffling there. It's a bad habit, and he's sorry.
I'm pretty good at reading lips, and I thought that he mouth my name there. I wasn't 100% sure. I appreciate the apology. That puts you ahead of the curve compared to most of the people we have on camera who don't bother to apologize. But it would still be better served if you weren't doing that. But whatever, it's a step in the right direction.
He's breaking a habit. It's a habit for a lot of players.
I know. People build bad habits.
He's going to take a mulligan here now. Let's take a good sharp look.
Probably just didn't pile enough. You know?
See if he can dole out 5 or if he just wants to just give it a couple side shuffles here. Not even going towards the pile shuffle. I can't wait till you have to cover another one of my matches.
Oh, yeah.
Whew, boy. Probably going to pile shuffle and piles of 60.
That's not a pile shuffle. That's a wash.
Yeah, that's not
it's
right.
called a wash.
All right, piles of 59 then.
Yep.
There you go.
I used to pile shuffle too. It's a tough habit. It's just something that you kind of do, right?
I love it. I love it.
But it's
my opponent helped me.
It's either doing one of two things. It's either doing nothing to your deck's randomization, in which case you should knock it off because it's way slower than other forms of shuffling, or it is doing something to your method of randomization, and then you should stop it because that's cheating.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
It's one of those two things.
I don't know which one it is, but it's one or the other.
Deathrite Shaman is where Schreiner's going to start this game.
But Hawkins, I appreciate the apology.
Yep. Trying to get in your good graces. I see what's going on here.
An apology without modifying behavior is not worth a whole lot, but it's at least, again, it's a step. It's a step in the right direction.
Jeremy will draw.
I'm
leave
sorry.
This turn off with a brainstorm.
I'm sorry, and then in parentheses, that I don't care enough about this to stop doing it.
Here's a Tarmogoyf. And Deathrite's coming in for 1. Hawkins will draw. Another island here.
But Schreiner's hand's got nothing going on besides a brainstorm. Just some lands. No disruption.
A couple of wastelands. And this brainstorm's going to have to be a good one. 3 cards coming. Force of Will, Ancestral Vision, and Tarmogoyf.
That's about perfect. It's another threat that he can put on the table. Force of Will plus blue card. Cannot ask for a better brainstorm.
There goes Polluted Delta. Take a land off. We'll have a Tarmogoyf here in just a moment. And now there's Tarmogoyf. Here come the beatdowns. Tarmogoyf just a 2/3.
So it looks like Hawkins has brought in his copy of Empty the Warrens. The problem here is that he's on 5 cards, so building up a storm count is going to be challenging. Also, because Schreiner's draw is so heavy on creatures, he needs to empty for quite a lot for it to be enough to win the game. He can't just do it for, even something like 10. Probably does not get him there.
No. It's not going to cut it at all. The other tough thing here for Eric is that he's actually drawn his copy of Tendrils too. So that's kind of glutting up his hand a little bit. So he's going to have to get a little creative to win this one, I think. Gonna sacrifice Polluted Delta. And Basic Swamp. Trying to play around Wasteland to the best of his ability. Okay, it might be go time here in some capacity. All right. Here's a Dark Ritual. Interesting.
Well, no one casts Dark Ritual without the intent of going off. It's going to be tougher, I think, for Hawkins on 5 cards to beat a Force of Will.
Oh, there's Force of Will.
Well, this is not bad for Hawkins because he can simply go for it next turn. But a lot more dangerous, I think, for Hawkins if Schreiner let Hawkins cast a couple rituals and then try to cut off either Past in Flames or Ad Nauseam, whatever the big payout was. But if Hawkins' hand's a good hand, he can go for it again next turn. And Schreiner's hand's got nothing going on.
Yeah, that's mostly garbage.
A couple lands. The Deathrite Shaman's a little bit of disruption. It interacts with the graveyard at least, but...
Here come the Tarmogoyfs that are 2/3. Hawkins going to fall down to 11.
And he doesn't even have to go for it next turn. Hawkins has enough life to play with. He can wait a little bit, at least one more turn beyond that if he wants to.
Man, run a Chain of Vapor. Interesting. As you said, Hawkins got a little bit of life to work with. Tarmogoyf's aren't hitting too hard right now.
Although, when the Storm deck mulligans to 5 here, drawing things like Chain of Vapor is really painful. Hard to assemble the mixture of cards you really need to be able to go off on 5 cards.
Difficult decision here for Eric.
Yeah, Hawkins' hand looks like a mess to me. I mean, you have Chain of Vapor. That's not very good here. You have the Empty the Warrens. That's going to be tough.
Infernal Tutor's going to search up a Lotus Petal. Pass the turn back. Deathrite Shaman to remove Infernal Tutor. Hawkins will fall down to 9. Though I think Schreiner may have removed the wrong card there.
I think you want to remove Dark Ritual because then the Tarmogoyf stays 3/4. Then it is an instant and a sorcery. You knock him down to 3. Then you have your Deathrite Shaman to knock him to 1. Now fetch lands are off the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your last opportunity to pre-register.
Here come the Goyfs again.
Tomorrow's standard and modern Premier IQs. We will be
Hawkins down to 5
at 8 p.m.
Pass that turn back. Well,
which is 20
it's do or die.
on the clock.
Cabal Ritual the
Once
draw.
again, standard and modern Premier IQ pre-registration will be closing
What can you
in
do?
approximately 5 minutes. Please make your way to the side events portion of the stage if you wish to do so.
And even if he can empty for a whole lot, the problem is that that's no defense against Deathrite Shaman.
Yep.
I suppose he can Chain of Vapor the Deathrite Shaman as a way to build the storm count and also set back the number of turns that Schreiner can kill him over. Because he has to replay the Deathrite Shaman, and then that takes some time.
There are some truly, I mean, don't forget, he can target his own stuff with Chain.
Yep.
We see this happen in Vintage a lot, where he can cast Chain and bounce both his Lotus Petals. So Eric is capable of doing some interesting things here. Now, the storm count right now is 3. Chain will be the 3rd spell. And then he can sacrifice his own land. So Chain of Vapor is this weirdly worded card where you can bounce your own stuff. Yeah, you even see right now the table spotter taking a look saying, wow, what's going on?
So this is a way for him to build the storm count here for essentially 3 at the cost of 1 mana.
Yep. So storm count should be at 3 now. Lotus Petal makes it storm 4. Petal makes it storm 5. This is spell 6, maybe. It's funny because if that Empty Warrens was like literally anything else,
Yeah.
he'd probably be in good shape. Instead, it's just a stinky Empty the Warrens. And he's going to play Empty the Warrens now. I guess he's got some backdoor ways here, depending on what he draws.
Well, it also seems like Hawkins has left Cabal Therapy Tendrils as his leftovers.
Cabal Ritual.
Cabal Ritual, excuse me. his plan here might be get in one shot, and then you draw the right cantrips or whatever. That might be enough to finish off the game.
He's definitely got a plan.
Yeah.
Wow, I think Thoughtseize was the draw.
That's, I think, going to be too much.
Yeah.
Assuming Schreiner casts it. Because then his hand's just a ritual. Death Right kills him in 2 turns. I don't think that's beatable. Oh!
Okay.
There is some hope here. But now Hawkins' hand is forced. There's Death Right in play. He's at 3.
He's got
to win this turn. I suppose he can attack. If he gains enough life, maybe he can stay out of lethal range next turn. Seems very challenging to balance it.
That's pretty tough. Let's see what this card is. Probe that he can't pay alternate life for. Sees the Thoughtseize. The fetch land, maybe?
Oh,
is that Dark Ritual?
I think that's it. If that's Dark Ritual, I think that's enough.
Oh, my God. Here's an attack for 12. 3 creatures are going to get blocked. He takes 9, falls down to 8.
That's 1,
Probe.
2, 3. Yeah.
Oh, my. Oh, my God.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
That's 4 spells.
That's 4 spells. That's
Wow.
going to do it. Eric Hawkins is going to win this match here over Jeremy Schreiner. 2-0. Storm takes down Charlotte Sultai. And Hawkins is walking into day number 2 at 8-1.
And you can see, you can get yourself into that line of play from Schreiner's side is, I got him dead over 2 turns. I know my life total matters and to some extent here. My opponent's got 2 cards in hand, just pass and pass it back. And Hawkins had to peel kind of perfect. Pretty much perfect there. But Hawkins saw the line of play. I think that a lot of players in that spot might have just fired off the Cabal Ritual for 2 more Goblins.
Yep.
I think that's a very common line of play that you would have saw there. Hawkins knew that he kind of had to bridge it over the course of a couple turns where he makes enough Goblins where Schreiner can attack, where Hawkins can have an opportunity to attack for some damage the next turn. And if he leaves himself with those cards left over in his hand, if he draws, he has to draw perfect again. But if he does it, he's got a chance to win that game. He did exactly that.
That was a beautifully played game.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was really great.